Imagine this. It's 1776, and a determined group of colonists stands up to challenge a powerful empire. But what if I told you the real story behind America's independence goes beyond familiar events like gatherings and nighttime alerts? It's filled with surprising alliances, overlooked contributors, and unexpected turns that could change how you see history. Welcome to 250 Years Unveiled, where we explore the semi-quincentennial of the American Revolution, revealing the lesser-known aspects that textbooks often skip. As we celebrate 250 years since the Declaration of Independence in this year of 2026, let's uncover the layers of legend to find the authentic, captivating facts that drove the quest for liberty. Did you know that support for the revolution varied widely? In fact, only about 45% of colonists supported the Patriot side, while others remained loyal or neutral, creating divisions that turned communities into complex networks of differing views. Envision families navigating these challenges, informants in social spots, and everyday people stepping into remarkable positions. One such example is Sybil Luddington, a young teenager who traveled far through difficult weather to alert local forces about approaching threats. Yet her efforts are seldom highlighted in education. Or consider the Oneida Nation, indigenous groups who partnered with the Patriots despite uncertainties, offering vital guidance and resources that influenced outcomes in important engagements like Saratoga. These aren't mere side notes, they're the dynamic elements that enabled success. And what about the trade networks? Colonists acquired supplies from allies like the Dutch and French through clever channels, sustaining the effort amid restrictions. But stay tuned, as we're only beginning. Prepare for accounts of dedicated individuals leading initiatives, people adopting disguises to participate, and even future figures, sharing spaces with key leaders in ironic circumstances. This isn't a standard history overview. It's an engaging exploration meant to hold your attention, prompting reflection. So, join us as we travel through the lesser-seen paths of the Revolution, beginning with the building pressures that grew like a gathering storm. The Stamp Act of 1765 wasn't solely about fees. It ignited organized responses, where creators like Benjamin Eads produced influential materials that encouraged public action. These early communicators were like pioneers in sharing ideas, motivating widespread involvement. And let's recognize the contributions of those in bondage. Many sought opportunities offered by one side, forming units that shifted perspectives on freedom. Fascinating, isn't it? As we proceed, you'll discover how these underappreciated factors form the foundation of independence, portraying the revolution as not only a conflict, but a tapestry of human experiences. Continuing from those building pressures, let's examine the unusual and frequently missed events before the main conflict that prepared the ground for change, such as the Pine Tree Riot of 1772 in New Hampshire, where locals opposed rules reserving certain trees for official use. Picture resourceful workers standing firm over natural resources, an early sign of broader resistance. It's these small acts of opposition that illustrate the revolution as a gradual buildup rather than an abrupt shift. Take the Gaspee Affair in 1772, when Rhode Island residents addressed a vessel enforcing regulations. It was a bold community effort, and the follow-up inquiry stalled due to unified silence, highlighting collective solidarity. This incident encouraged leaders like Samuel Adams, who organized the Boston Tea Party. But did you know participants dressed in symbolic attire, not only for concealment, but to represent a new sense of identity separate from old traditions? Further in, the story of Crispus Attucks, a man of mixed heritage who escaped constraints, who was among the first affected in the Boston events of 1770. His involvement underscored how the pursuit of rights connected with broader justice issues, though his role is often underplayed. And regarding under-recognized voices, figures like Mercy Otis Warren created clever writings critiquing officials, using creativity as a tool in an era when such expressions were limited. These narratives show a revolution driven by varied, committed individuals, beyond just prominent names. Consider the trade limitations. Official acts required dealings only with certain partners, hampering growth and leading to innovative exchanges by traders like John Hancock, whose efforts supported key operations. But here's an interesting detail. King George III faced health challenges that influenced decisions, possibly explaining some policies. Historical health insights affecting world events. As we move to central figures, keep in mind these early sparks linked a chain of opposition from south to north, engaging all walks of life, from growers to craftspeople, and even youth delivering updates. One young participant, Andrew Jackson, later a leader, faced hardships that shaped his views. These personal stories added depth to the larger movement. And don't overlook the power of information sharing. Depictions like Paul Revere's of key incidents amplified awareness, showing how visuals influenced opinion long ago. All this guides us to the intriguing individuals whose private worlds advanced the revolution, concealing surprises that remain compelling today. Exploring those intriguing individuals, let's reveal the private aspects of the revolution's central figures, starting with Benedict Arnold, not merely known for later choices, but first as a dedicated supporter whose injury at Saratoga contributed to progress, only for frustrations over acknowledgement to alter his path. Envision the contrast of someone celebrated turning to other options for recognition. His experience serves as a reminder of personal drives, but less discussed is his partner Peggy Shippen, a social figure who influenced decisions through connections, illustrating behind-the-scenes roles. Then there's Thomas Paine, whose work Common Sense reached vast audiences, but did you know he had varied careers before emerging as an advocate, leaving prior challenges behind? His ideas sparked momentum, though he faced difficulties later. Turning to lesser-known contributors, Henry Knox, a bookseller without prior expertise, transported essential equipment over long distances in harsh conditions, from Fort Ticonderoga to Boston, aiding a strategic shift, a remarkable achievement that impacted the course. But here's the curious connection. Earlier, Knox interacted with John Andre, later involved in opposing efforts. They discussed shared interests, unaware of future roles. Chance or destiny? And what about Deborah Sampson, who assumed a new identity to join activities, facing obstacles and recognition only afterward? Her pursuit highlighted equality concerns. Indigenous leaders like Joseph Brant aligned based on protections for their communities, conducting campaigns that affected border areas, depicting the revolution as a layered endeavor. Contributors like James Armistead Lafayette gathered information by blending in, providing details that supported successes, yet he advocated for rights afterward. These individual journeys show relatable, complex people beyond legends. George Washington's personal details? He dealt with health issues, using aids from various sources, reminders of broader societal ties. His partner Martha preserved privacy by handling correspondence. As we advance to engagements, these figures' underlying reasons, goals, responses, endurance, fueled the narrative, like Aaron Burr's initial involvement before later events. The revolution wasn't planned perfectly. It was shaped by individuals with layers as intriguing as strategies. From those private-driven leaders, the engagements themselves contained hidden elements that transformed efforts into enduring tales. Like the Battle of Cowpens in 1781, where Daniel Morgan's strategic planning outmaneuvered opponents using coordinated tactics, a method so effective it influenced later approaches, though it's less highlighted than others like Yorktown. Imagine varied landscapes where tacticians like Francis Marion, known as the Swamp Fox, used elusive methods to navigate challenges, outsmarting pursuers with adaptive strategies. But did you know Marion had diverse experiences that added complexity to his role? Contributors with multifaceted backgrounds enriched the story. Then there's the period at Valley Forge, not only hardship, but a time of growth, where Baron von Steuben, an international helper with presented skills, train groups into cohesive units. Less known is how personal aspects were accommodated, reflecting inclusive practices. Moving to sea-based actions, John Paul Jones's operations reached distant shores in 1778, raising awareness. He pursued ambitious goals. These daring initiatives lifted spirits. In the overlooked Battle of Oriskany in 1777, an intense encounter where Oneida allies supported patriots against other groups, affecting alliances, Indigenous involvement within the wider context. Women's on-site contributions appear in figures like Molly Pitcher, also known as Mary Hayes, who assisted operations after circumstances arose at Monmouth, gaining commendation. Her example represents many who provided support, care, or information. But here's a notable tactic. Opponents employed health-related strategies to disrupt, similar to earlier methods. Strategic innovations. As prolonged efforts continued, like in Charleston in 1780, a major setback, but it inspired renewed determination in regions. Information gatherers added mystery. Networks like the Culper. Ring used signals to communicate, evading detection. These engagement insights, from clever planning to ethical considerations, sustained the cause despite difficulties. Even setbacks like Brandywine allowed continuations that preserved momentum. Leading into broader women's roles, recall that successes relied on collective efforts. Behind strategies were tales of perseverance that nearly faded from records. Smoothly transitioning from those determined engagements, the essential roles of women in the Revolution come into focus as crucial, extending far past home duties, like Abigail Adams encouraging her husband John to consider women's perspectives in forming new systems. Her correspondence showing keen insight, advocating for fairness in a structured society. But proactive examples stand out. Nancy Hart, a frontier resident in Georgia, cleverly managed a situation with visitors by using wit and resources. Stories suggest her resourcefulness protected her space, symbolizing strong independence. Or Prudence Cummings Wright, who organized a group to monitor passages, adapting appearances to fulfill tasks. These community guardians maintained security while others were engaged elsewhere. Creative voices like Phyllis Wheatley, a pioneering writer, expressed support through poetry, her creations addressing inconsistencies and ideals of equality. Yet many faced displacements. Those with differing loyalties encountered losses, like Grace Groden Galloway, removed from her residence. Community efforts? Women participated in avoiding certain products, producing alternatives in organized circles like the Daughters of Liberty, impacting supplies. Information roles were key. Lydia Dara gathered details from discussions in her setting, conveying them creatively to aid planning. And those accompanying groups, partners and supporters, handled essential tasks, enduring travels. Some, like Margaret Corbin, stepped in during needs, later seeking acknowledgments. As circumstances unfolded, women oversaw properties, ventures. Elizabeth Murray guided others in skills, promoting self-reliance. Afterward, their efforts influenced ongoing discussions, though progress was gradual. Indigenous figures like Molly Brant shaped communications, rallying support. These accounts emphasize intersections of roles with backgrounds. Moving to diverse viewpoints, the Revolution's complexities for various groups highlight pursuits of ideals that weren't fully inclusive, creating contrasts in experiences. Following from women's steadfast contributions, the viewpoints of those in servitude and indigenous peoples uncover the Revolution's inconsistencies, where declarations of equality didn't extend to all. Many in bondage sought refuge with offers of liberty, forming supportive units that participated in events like Monmouth. Yet afterward, numerous faced returns or uncertainties. James Armistead's strategic involvement at Yorktown received recognition, but he pursued formal status until achieved. In southern areas, large numbers pursued opportunities, affecting operations and leading to inclusions in some forces, like specialized groups in Rhode Island. Indigenous narratives are similarly layered. The Cherokee, under leaders like Dragging Canoe, defended territories in ongoing efforts, seeing the changes as expansions. In contrast, communities like the Stockbridge Mohican collaborated, contributing despite costs at locations like Barren Hill, though facing relocations later. Alliances divided. Some groups conducted defenses, while others provided assistance at pivotal points, like Saratoga, gaining brief appreciation but eventual shifts. Motivations tied to resources? Restrictions like the 1763 line limited accesses, making changes openings for developments. For those seeking freedom, the period inspired actions. Individuals like Boston King aligned with promises, later establishing new communities. These perspectives question simplified stories, revealing a multifaceted endeavor. As we turn to information networks, note that diverse groups often aided in guidance, their expertise on environments proving essential. Drawing on those diverse insights, the intriguing realm of information gathering and strategy during the Revolution reveals itself like an adventure story, with systems rivaling modern organizations. George Washington's coordinated network in New York employed special methods and aliases. Agent 355, thought to be a skilled communicator, interacted to obtain details that prevented issues. Codes using numbers protected exchanges. Opposing coordinator John Andre's engaging style hid his activities and connections. Apprehended with materials, his outcome affected even leaders. But here's the unique aspect. Andre pursued arts like drawing and verse, a talented individual in challenging roles. Skilled communicators included Ann Bates, who blended into settings to relay observations. And Hercules Mulligan, a professional in attire, noted discussions during fittings, sharing insights that protected key figures multiple times. Less highlighted are supportive roles. Individuals like Quamino navigated positions to assist. Indigenous guides like Tayenda Negea, Joseph Brant, offered knowledge, combining traditions with tasks. Versatile participants added layers. Enoch Crosby integrated groups repeatedly, inspiring tales. Innovative attempts? Early underwater efforts by David Bushnell aimed at disruptions, though not fully successful, advanced ideas. These covert activities, from secure methods to tools, maintained advantages. Leading into the foundational document, the surrounding strategies echo these networks, with concealed discussions and commitments that risked much for participants. From the intrigue of those information networks, the Declaration of Independence holds its own mysteries, composed in a warm Philadelphia setting where Thomas Jefferson drew from thinkers like John Locke. But did you know a section addressing inequalities was removed to maintain unity among representatives? That decision lingered, revealing early balances and principles. The approvals spanned beyond a single day. Signatures occurred over time, with John Hancock's prominent mark signifying bold commitment. Untold distribution efforts. Printed versions disseminated the message, though pursuits of participants led to precautions. Caesar Rodney journeyed extensively, despite health concerns, to cast a deciding vote for his area. His participation influenced the overall agreement. And the symbolic bell? Tested and marked, its message of proclaiming rights grew in meaning afterward. Indirect influences from supporters like Abigail Adams pushed for considerations. Though not fully adopted, her thoughts affected contributions. Indigenous systems? Governance models from groups like the Iroquois inspired structural ideas, often without direct credit. Perspectives from varied backgrounds. Creators balanced ideals with realities. The document's wider effects? It motivated changes elsewhere, but responses included additional support, intensifying efforts. Consider the collaborative drafting process. Jefferson worked with a committee including Benjamin Franklin and John Adams. who suggested edits to refine the language, making it more concise and impactful. Franklin's wit helped temper some phrases for broader appeal. Printing innovations played a role. John Dunlap's overnight production of broadsides ensured rapid spread, using movable type to reach colonies quickly. Security measures were crucial. Delegates met in secret, with windows covered to prevent eavesdropping, highlighting the risks of treason charges that could lead to severe consequences. Global connections emerged early. Copies reached Europe, influencing thinkers like Voltaire. Educational legacies. The Declaration's principles became teaching tools, inspiring curricula worldwide. Cultural artifacts, like replicas and memorials, preserve its essence today. In 2026 commemorations, interactive exhibits recreate the signing room, allowing visitors to experience the atmosphere. Lesser-known signers, like Button Gwinnett, whose rare signature fetches high values, add collector intrigue. Philosophical underpinnings. From Enlightenment ideas emphasized natural rights, shaping modern democracy discussions. Artistic representations, from paintings to films, evolve interpretations, keeping the story alive. Reflecting the Declaration's underlying complexities, the Revolution's subsequent developments overflow with lesser-known challenges that formed contemporary America, such as financial instabilities where currency values dropped significantly, leading to uprisings like Shays' Rebellion in 1786, a collective response to economic pressures that influenced constitutional frameworks. Participants, assured rewards, frequently received delayed compensations. Many adapted by exploring opportunities, benefiting innovative approaches. Women's advancements. Judith Sargent Murray promoted learning through writings, establishing bases for equality dialogues. For those gaining liberty, like groups relocated to new areas, adjustments involved building communities amid changes, efforts towards settlements like in Africa. Indigenous agreements? Often adjusted, the 1783 Accord overlooked autonomies, prompting further negotiations like regional discussions. Untold recognitions. Supporters like Margaret Corbin navigated processes for supports, underscoring ongoing advocacies. And societal transformations? The era fostered national symbols, with figures like Uncle Sam originating from practical sources. Washington's voluntary step back in 1783 supported governance models, establishing traditions. But lingering stories. Relocations like Arnold's to new settings, adapting to changes. These transitional narratives show a gradual shift from conflict to structure, marked by disparities that continue to inform. To expand, economic recoveries involved new policies. Alexander Hamilton's reports proposed banking systems, stabilizing finances through federal assumptions of debts, fostering unity. Veteran societies formed, like the Society of the Cincinnati, preserving camaraderie and advocating benefits. Cultural evolutions included literature. Noah Webster's dictionary standardized language, promoting American English distinct from British forms. Indigenous adaptations. Tribes negotiated treaties, like the Treaty of Fort Stanwix, though often unfavorable, leading to resilient cultural preservations. Women's networks expanded. Sewing circles evolved into social reform groups, influencing temperance and education. Global repercussions. Inspirations reached Haiti, sparking independence movements led by Toussaint Louverture. Memorial efforts in the 19th century, like monument constructions, honored sites. In modern contexts, digital archives make documents accessible, enhancing research. Educational programs in schools incorporate diverse views, teaching critical thinking. Commemorative events in 2026 feature multicultural festivals, highlighting inclusive histories. Concluding our exploration of these insights, the enduring impact of the American Revolution after 250 years in 2026 remains vibrant and pertinent, as conversations about governance parallel original debates. Consider access to participation, echoing early representation concerns. Lesser explored effects. The revolution's concepts advanced movements for change, though inconsistencies persisted until later resolutions, a notable contrast in progress. Women's advancements linked back to early advocacies, achieving milestones in the 20th century. Indigenous continuities? Communities like the Oneida maintain traditions and territories despite historical shifts. Internationally, it encouraged transformations in France, as well as self-determination in other regions. Contemporary connections. Information strategies resemble historical codes, while societal divisions recall past alignments. Celebrations in 2026, such as national initiatives, seek to encompass varied narratives, contributions from all backgrounds, reframing accounts. Compelling details persist. Significant numbers participated, with challenges from various sources emphasizing human elements. Inspirations from figures like Knox encourage creativity. Cautions from others highlight balances. This anniversary isn't merely recollection. It's a reflection on achievements and areas for growth, motivating commitments to ideals of fairness. As we end, these narratives aren't distant. They're inspirations for ongoing engagement across eras. Delving deeper into legacies, constitutional conventions addressed weaknesses, with delegates like James Madison drafting frameworks that balanced powers, influencing global models. Economic foundations laid post-war included manufacturing growth, spurred by embargoes that encouraged self-sufficiency. Artistic expressions flourished. Painters like John Trumbull captured scenes, preserving visual histories for museums. Literary works, such as Parson Weems's biographies, popularized figures like Washington with moral tales. Scientific advancements tied in. Benjamin Franklin's experiments continued influencing innovations. Community rebuilds involved infrastructure, like road networks expanding trade. Educational reforms emphasized civic knowledge, establishing public schools. Philanthropic efforts from veterans supported orphans and widows. International diplomacy evolved, with treaties securing alliances. In 2026, virtual reality tours offer immersive experiences of historical sites, enhancing learning. Scholarly conferences debate interpretations, incorporating new archaeological finds. Public art installations commemorate diverse roles, fostering unity. Media productions, like documentaries, explore untold angles, reaching wide audiences. Preservation societies maintain battlefields as parks, promoting reflection. Youth programs engage students in reenactments, building historical empathy. Global partnerships highlight shared democratic values, strengthening ties. Ultimately, the revolution's spirit endures in civic participation, inspiring volunteerism and advocacy today. If this video helped you, make sure to like it. It really supports the channel. Subscribe for more videos like this and share it with someone who'd benefit. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.